Hi, I'm Dave O'Neil with Century 21 Spin O'Neil, and welcome to Price This House.
And I'm Kimberly O'Neil Mara. Today we'll be covering the third quarter of 2014 in the four communities of North Reading, Reading, Lynnfield, and Andover. We'll be talking about third quarter results as well as the changes between 2014 and the prior year 2013 results. We'll get started with stats in North Reading. Dave, take it away.
Great, thank you. We're going to talk about North Reading single-family homes. For the third quarter in 2014, we had 47 versus a year ago of 62. That's down 24%. A big reason for that would be the shortage of inventory all spring market. The winter and the spring of 2014 had lesser homes on the market. So with a reduced number of inventory, there's less properties that are going to sell, which 60 days later would be the closings that we're talking about for the months of July, August, and September. In North Reading, for the same time period, we're talking an average list price of $586,000 versus a year ago of $545,000. That's a 7% increase in the average list price. Our average sale price is $580,000 versus $536,000, which is an 8% increase in average sale price. So again, for both listings and sales, we're up about 7 and 8% over last year. This year, days on market was 57 versus a year ago 68, which is a decrease of 16% in the number of days on the market for single-family homes. The condo market in North Reading is healthy as well. This year, for the third quarter, there were 13 units sold versus 11 a year ago, which is an 18% increase. The average list price this year is at $207,000 versus a year ago $286,000. The average sale price $205,000 versus average sales price $282,000. Again, because of condos being certain limitations as to the availability, you really can't go that prices have gone down just because the average list price and average sale price decreased. It's just which units came on the market. The total days on the market for North Reading condos was 49 this year versus 27 last year. Took a little longer to sell condos. I think a big part of that probably had to do with the fact that there were so many homes being sold that people could go to a house versus necessarily a condo. The North Reading multifamily market this year was just really non-existent in the third quarter. A year ago it was only one, and every show we say that you don't expect there to be a lot of multifamily sold. And that goes with sales of land as well. Third quarter in North Reading land, there was only one sale of $320,000 versus a year ago there were four at $393,000 average sale price. Again, land is so limited, available land is so limited that number is really kind of hard to calculate.
On to the Reading market. For single-family sales in the third quarter 2014, it was pretty flat compared to 2013. We sold 85 this year versus 89 a year ago. That's a 4% decrease, but fairly flat in the Reading market. The average list price, however, was a little bit higher. It was $552,000 this year versus $503 a year ago. That's up 9%. And again, with just simple supply and demands of basic economics, when you have fewer properties on the market, you can charge a little bit more of a premium for them. The average sales price was over $50,000 of an increase. In 2014, it was $553 versus a year ago it was $500,000. So that's up 11%, which is great for the community of Reading. Total days on market decreased to 40 from 46 a year ago. That's a 13% decrease. In condos, the number of condos drastically dropped. In 2014, the third quarter, we only sold 13 of them compared to 31 a year ago. That's down 58%. Now, there were lots of new construction condos in Reading, Reading Woods a year ago, so that definitely drove the numbers for that stat. The average price remained fairly consistent, $346 this year versus $344 last year. Again, there were still some that were sold in that community, so you'd expect that the pricing would be fairly consistent. The average sale price was $349 versus $346, so negligible change. The days on market, although were higher, 108 versus 36, and that's because of the new construction. As some of the buildings were being completed, they took a little bit longer. So it was up significantly in terms of time to get those final units sold. maybe some of the less desirable ones or the ones that are kind of like lingering on the market a little bit. For multifamilies, not a lot to talk about. We did have 3 sell in the third quarter. That average list price was $428 to an average sale price of $414 versus 2013. We only sold 1. For $360,000 list price and $343 sales price. The days on market was 19 for that unit last year. This year it was an average of 107 days. Again, with only a few to talk about, it's really hard to draw any conclusions from those stats. And I'll say the same thing with land, echoing what Dave said for North Reading. We didn't sell any in 2013. We had 1 parcel sell this year. It was listed for $1 million. It sold actually for $610,000. It was only on the market for a day. I think there was obviously price adjustment there for the size of that 1 parcel that did sell in that quarter. I'll turn it back to Dave for Lynnfield.
The Lynnfield single-family market is very healthy. 50 units sold this year in the third quarter versus 54 of last year. That's an 8% decrease. The average list price is $668,000 versus a year ago at $598,000. That's a 12% increase in average list price in Lynnfield. The average sales price is $654,000 versus a year ago of $584,000, up 12%. So that's really, again, showing that the Lynnfield market jumped about 12% in this last year. Total days on market, fairly consistent, 69 a year ago, 85 this year. Again, as the prices start skyrocketing, like 12% increase would be, sometimes it takes a little bit for people to get used to the new price, and then they'll go ahead and buy. The Lynnfield condo market is 19 units sold this year versus 6 a year ago. That's more than double or triple. Average list price is $483,000 versus $315,000. That's a 53% increase. And the average sale price is $483,000 versus $307,000, up $57,000. There's some new construction in there that's helping those numbers to skew. Days on market very consistent, 55 a year ago to 59 this year. Lynnfield, there was no multifamily sold. We say that every show. And the Lynnfield land, there was really no land sales this year. Last year there had been a couple on the market, but again, that's no surprise. This basic market area has very, very little raw land for sale.
Concluding with the Andover market, we actually had 106 units sell for single families in 2014 compared to 138 a year ago. That's down 23%. Again, same thing for all the communities we're discussing. That was just a lack of inventory that drove those numbers down in the spring market. But the prices were driven up because, again, that supply and demand. So where the average list price was $616 a year ago, it jumped up to $655,000 this year, which is a 6% increase. And the average sales price rose from $606 a year ago up to $644. Days on market were fairly consistent from 52 to 59. For the condos, fairly consistent. We sold 32 this year versus 34 a year ago. The average list price was $346 this year compared to $321 a year ago, so the prices went up a little bit again there as well. And the sales price went up 9% from $311 last year to $341 this year. Total days on market was 97, which was down significantly, down 27% versus 133. Again, the condo market reads differently than the single family market. We actually had 3 multifamilies sell in Andover this year, which is not terribly common. We didn't have any last year. This year, the average list price was $463, and they sold for slightly higher than that at $465, and they are on the market for an average of 83 days. In land, consistent to last year, 2 parcels sold in each of the third quarters last year and this year. Last year for $337 average list, and this year $319. The average sale price was $340, and that dropped down to $280 this year. But again, you're talking land, so there's a variety of sizes of land and the size of the parcel. It took a little bit longer to sell as well, which would speak to why it sold for less than the list price. Last year it sold within 4 days, and this year it took 158 days to sell. So that concludes the statistics part of the show. Now we're going to spotlight a home from each of the 4 communities.
Great. We're going to start with 20 Englewood Lane in North Reading. It was listed for $749,000 and sold for $735,000. It's a 3,616 square foot colonial. It sits on 2.14 acres of land on Englewood Lane, which is a very, very nice side street in town. The house was built in 1996. It has a very nice, beautiful lot with an in-ground swimming pool, which certainly added to the attraction. The house has a grand two-story foyer. It's almost like a ballroom in there. Has an open concept kitchen with Korean counters, custom kitchen table, and breakfast bar. 4 bedrooms includes double doors leading to the master suite with a whirlpool tub, separate tiled stall shower. Had a finished basement complete with a wet bar. Provides additional entertainment space for the family. And it is in a top neighborhood on the Lynnfield line of North Reading. Again, 20 Englewood Lane, sold for $735,000.
In Reading, we're going to highlight 7 Adams Way. It was listed for $989 and sold for $983. It was a 10-room colonial with 4 bedrooms, 3 full and 1 half baths, including a master bath and a fireplace. It was a stunning custom-built home on a cul-de-sac. It had a 3-car garage, first floor laundry, central air and gas fireplace, hardwood floors throughout. Beautiful kitchen with radiant heat, stainless steel appliances, and granite, as well as custom cherry cabinets. A very spacious breakfast nook and surround sound in the kitchen. The family room, deck, master bedroom, and master bath. The master bath was beautiful, and it included an extra large steam shower with a granite seat, 4 custom closets, custom molding, really spectacular. The lower level had a custom built-in theater room with surround sound, a play area, a custom-built bar, and full bathroom. There's a large Trex deck that overlooked a professionally landscaped lawn and had irrigation system in there as well, and a beautiful saltwater pebble tech pool with an attached spa. Very, very special custom home. It was almost 4,000 square feet on about 2/3 of an acre. And again, that sold for $983,000. Really a special house.
That was a beautiful house. I remember that house. In Lynnfield, we're going to talk about 98 Summer Street. It's a 3,227 square foot antique colonial built in 1900. Had a detached 3-car garage with an au pair or an in-law suite up over it. It basically needed some work. It came on a little bit too high at $5 1/4 and adjusted the price a little bit and finally sold at $450,000. It did take about a year to finally hit that number. Again, just an example, pricing is so important that you want to get the most amount of money you can for your property, but you really need to have it on at the right number in order to sell. The house did have 6 bedrooms, had a nice master suite with a walk-in closet and full bath. The house had central air conditioning, hardwood floors, and even has a wine cellar in the basement. Just really an opportunity for somebody at the right number, 3,200 square feet with an in-law or au pair on 16,000 square feet of land, sold for $450,000. Very, very nice home.
Nice home. And in Andover, we're going to highlight 277 South Main Street. It was listed for $649. It was on the market for quite a bit of time. It sold for $580. It's an antique farmhouse colonial. Certainly takes a special buyer to buy some of the antique homes. It was about 3,400 square feet on a little bit over an acre of land, but it was a fabulous home. It was in the Phillips Academy neighborhood, so great location, and it was a good-sized home that had a beautiful gourmet kitchen with granite countertops, a galley pantry, and a second dishwasher and a wine chiller, all stainless steel appliances, and an oversized breakfast bar. It had a sun-filled family room that was adjacent to the kitchen with a wood stove and a French door that led to a breezeway that connected to the garage. There was a formal dining room and formal living room that both featured fireplaces, plus a private office right off the living room. There were 4 bedrooms upstairs, including a master ensuite with a walk-in closet and a gorgeous bathroom with a whirlpool tub and oversized shower. It was a great opportunity to own the antique that was updated in the South School District. So that was great, a great buy at $580. And we'll be right back. We're going to have Talk of the Town with our new Superintendent of Schools here in North Reading.
Jon Bernard's joining us in just a minute. Please stay tuned.
Welcome back.
We're joined now with the new Superintendent of Schools for North Reading, Jon Bernard. Jon, welcome.
Thank you, Dave.
Jon's a familiar face in town. He was the high school principal for what, 12 years?
11 years.
11 years.
Yes.
And I guess probably a good place to start would be, how's the new job and how's the transition been?
The new job is great, Dave. Thank you. The transition has gone very well. I think I've enjoyed being in the school district for so long, having been there, as you said, the high school principal for just over 11 years. So I think what might have been maybe difficult for someone coming in new has not been so difficult for me, because I do know a lot of people in the district naturally, and so that has been good, and not only has it been good, but it's been very helpful to me. People have been wonderful. They've made my transition. I started the job on October 20th. The transition has gone very, very well. I'm very excited. North Reading is a wonderful place to work, and I couldn't be happier to be the new superintendent of schools.
That's great. That's great. How is it, instead of just focusing on the high school, now you're focusing on the entire district? How do you feel about that?
It is a little different. I have made, I believe, a concerted effort to be in the other 4 schools of the district. Of course, my office now is in the old high school, which is now serving as the middle school this year. So I've had an opportunity to certainly walk through that building quite a bit. And I've been in all of the elementary schools. In fact, I made it a point to be in all of the elementary schools, to do a walkthrough with the principal and to meet teachers and students my first week on the job. And I've actually been back to 2 of the 3 elementary schools for a second time, and I will be, when we're done filming the show today, I'll be heading over to a meeting at the Hood School. So I realize and recognize that most of my work as an educator has been at the secondary level, so I'm very interested in doing more work at the elementary and middle school level, so I've made a concerted effort to, in my early weeks on the job, to be in those schools and to be a visible presence, and I'm hoping to do that in the future as well.
Great. Now, everyone in town is very well aware of the new high school and the high school middle school project. Can you talk to us a little bit about the project? Sure.
Like a lot of other people, I've been intimately involved with that construction project since I think going back as far back as 2005, at a time when the very preliminary work was done. And then there was a moratorium for a few years in the middle, probably somewhere around the 2008 year, somewhere in that area, where the committee was dormant because the Mass School Building Authority wasn't entertaining any additional proposals for new school projects. But that changed very quickly, and as I think most people know, the last 4 or 5 years have been very, very hot and heavy, so to speak, with getting the project up and constructed. And we opened a beautiful new high school, as everyone knows, in September. And we're looking forward to the new middle school opening in September of 2015. The work has been, there's been a significant amount of work, and there's been a significant amount of work on the part of a lot of people. That secondary school building committee has volunteered literally thousands of hours to see the project through, and it's been very exciting to be a part of that. It's not something years and years ago when I first decided I was going to pursue a career in education and began as an English teacher that I ever thought I would be part of a project of such magnitude. But it's been a wonderful educational experience for me. It was very exciting to open the high school as the high school principal. The building is beautiful, and I'm very excited about the middle school that's now under construction. Looking forward to opening that this coming September.
Great.
Talking about opening the high school, I saw the pictures where you were actually out being the traffic cop for the day.
Traffic duty, yeah. We opening day was it was very good, but it was new to everyone. You know, we had, as everyone knows, the high school has student drivers, and we have parents dropping off students, and we have buses dropping off students. So there was a lot of figuring out of how the traffic patterns were going to go. But I think, quite honestly, Dave, after I would give it maybe 2 days, the first 2 days of school, people had navigated the traffic patterns well, but I was out there with the assistant principal and our school resource officer, Scott Tilton, and we helped people to navigate the traffic patterns, and I think it's fair to say that people fell into place and got used to the system very, very quickly. It's gone well.
Terrific. Well, we know with new construction, things don't necessarily get done for moving day. Mm-hmm. How far along is the school in the final punch list? So as far as getting things done?
Sure, that's a really good question. I would say to you that, and I've said this to others, that in my opinion, is the school ready or is the school done? And I think we're in that the school is ready stage, and we certainly were at the school is ready stage in September when we welcomed students on September 8th. But is the school done? The answer is no, it's not. And I don't expect that it will be done, in the next few weeks even. There's still a lot of, as you said, punch list items that need to be addressed. Some of them are larger than others, but there are, as you might imagine, of a project this size, there are a lot of little detail items. And it's almost like we had to get into the school, and we had to, I'll say, live in the school for a little bit to recognize some of the things that that might need to be addressed or adjusted. And we're working through that project, that punch list for the project right now, to see that those needs are addressed. But it's you know, I can confidently say to you on opening day, the building in its entirety was ready to receive students in all aspects, from classrooms to cafeteria to gymnasium to performing arts center. But now we're, you know, having lived in that school for, say, 2 months or so, we're at the point where we're now kind of working our way through the punch list with the contractors, and that process is going to take, I would say, some time.
And for those of us that were not able to attend the open house, can you give us some of the details of the school, how many classrooms and what other special features it has compared to the old school,
Sure,
media centers
yeah.
and things like that?
Absolutely, Kim. I think, kind of starting at a grassroots level, I was surprised early on at just how much input when I was then serving as the high school principal, as much input that I would have into the design. The architects worked very closely with myself, with Kathy O'Connell, the middle school principal, and with Kathy Willis, who was then the superintendent. They worked very closely with us and sought our input into the design features that we felt we needed for what is called the educational program of the school. So how do we envision our mission of carrying out the educational program of the schools in a new facility, and what design features did we hope for? And they were very receptive to that. So we would, you know, just to kind of give you a quick run through, we would meet, we would discuss things with the architects, they would leave the meeting, we would schedule a subsequent meeting, maybe 10 or so days later, they would come back with some drawings, some renderings of what they thought we were talking about.
Incorporating your ideas.
Yeah, and they were very good about that. They were extremely receptive to our ideas. And from the high school perspective, I think it's fair to say that one of the things that we were going for, and I'd like to think that I had a pretty significant role in, was we were really looking to design a high school that in some ways kind of eased the transition for students from high school to college and university life. And it was very rewarding to see students come into that school as present high school students, or during tours for the open house, recent graduates who are either in college or recently out of college, and make a comment about how it looked like a facility they had at their school, or how we might have had a facility that they didn't have at their college, which was even, you know, more rewarding.
Amazing, right.
Our distance learning lab, for example, is a very impressive feature. And on one of the tours, a graduate of North Reading High School, I think a 2000 graduate and a 2011 graduate of Skidmore College, made the comment to me that we did not have a room like this at Skidmore. And I thought, that's, in some ways, I guess that's good for us to hear as a school district, because we really were going, you know, that school is going to service students for a long, long time, decades, many decades, and we were going for a design that was really going to help, as I said, ease that transition and provide students with facilities and I would think, you know, technology, resources, things of that nature that they're going to experience when they go post high school. And I'd like to think we accomplished that. So that I mentioned the distance learning lab. We have a beautiful performing arts center, state of the art, a wonderful library media center, just, you know, bright, spacious, up to date technology. We have a gymnasium and an auxiliary gymnasium and a fitness room that are all, you know, very, very modern and getting an awful lot of use. Okay. And those facilities that I just mentioned will all be shared facilities when the middle school comes online.
And that's what connects the two buildings?
Essentially it is, yeah. There's kind of the Main Street corridor, which is very large, and off of that is the media center, cafeterias, of which there will be 2. Right now there's the high school cafeteria is operating, the middle school cafeteria will operate next year. The gymnasium, performing arts center, those all feed off of that Main Street corridor. Okay. What you see from the main road, from Park Street, with that large glass wall, that's actually the back of the distance learning lab. So while that's in what's predominantly the high school academic wing, that is a space that will be shared with the middle school too when they join us next September. Okay. So very exciting. I think it's fair to say the middle school principal and I, Kathy O'Connell, we work very well together. We mention very often how excited we are for the time when we're all going to be working in the campus together. I, as the superintendent, with the high school administration, the middle school administration, all on a grade 6 through 12 campus next September. We're very excited about that. We see a lot of possibilities for integrating the two schools in a very good way. I think there's a lot of positives to come from that.
Oh, good.
There's a certain element of separation that we want to achieve, and we believe very strongly that each school, middle school and high school, should have their own identity. But I do think that there are some very nice and good positive opportunities for us to join forces, so to speak, and to provide some good programs for students as a middle school, high school campus.
Great. Can't wait to see it.
It's going to be, it's beautiful right now. It's only going to get better.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
It's very exciting. And of course, being in real estate, we talk about the school system when people are looking to move into the community. But it isn't just about the building. It's really about the teachers and about the care that goes into the educational program. And North Reading, especially the high school, has just ranked up very high and a lot of accolades in the recent years. And a big part of that goes to you. Just some thoughts on maybe some of the press that the high school has gotten as far as some of the Boston Magazine and U.S. News and Newsweek?
Sure, Dave. I think you make a very good point that it's not just about the facility. I think the facility certainly plays a significant role, but I think one could look at our record in the past and say we did some pretty good work out of the old high school too. But I do think that there is a significant advantage that we're going to have, and I think our student results on standardized testing as one measure, as an example, are only going to get better in a new high school. The facility is just, it's state of the art, and I think that we now are able to offer students a lot more in a 21st century education than we would have been able to offer them in the old high school. And it's true, you say that there has been some good press. We have enjoyed some very proud rankings by publications, as you mentioned, U.S. News and World Report, Newsweek magazine, Boston magazine, in very recent years. And I am very proud of those rankings, but they speak to a lot more than just the work of any one person. And I've made it very clear whenever there's been conversation around those rankings and others that we do a wonderful job with the students. We have kindergarten through grade 8, and so when they come to high school, they're very well prepared to learn. So I cannot say enough about the work that teachers across the district do at all grade levels, and our students work very hard. We as a school district, I think, have established very reasonable but very high expectations for our students, and they work very hard to meet those. And we also have parents that support us as a district to provide the best educational experience we can for their children. They support us. They work with us. They certainly endorsed the school building project overwhelmingly, which I think is a wonderfully proud thing for the community as a whole. I mean, the community is constructing a building project at a 6 through 12 campus to the tune of about $123 million. That is a significant investment in education, and I think it speaks well for the entire community. So, those rankings are a good thing, but I certainly take pride in them on behalf of the district. But I do think that there are so many other things that come into play that measure our success as a school district beyond standardized testing, and it's the day-to-day work that teachers do in the classrooms, the level of care. No matter where I go, you see teachers very warmly engaged with students, working with them and trying very hard to get those students to be the very best they can be. And that's a wonderful thing to see. And it's something that you can see no matter where you go across the school district.
In doing my homework for today, I was very impressed that we're dealing with an 11-to-1 student-teacher ratio. Now, that's more than just the teacher in the classroom. That's all the professionals that's in the school system. But that seems like kind of a low number, isn't it?
It is, David. I think on the surface you're right. It is a very low number, but you make a good point. I'm glad you added that it includes a statistic that reflects all professional staff in the school district. So we have a lot of specialized programs, special education programs particularly. We have a lot of specialists that work with our students, physical therapists, occupational therapists, people of that ilk that also are factored into that statistic. But we have seen. I think our population as a school district is not necessarily spiking right now, but it is spiking at certain levels. The secondary level population is on an uptick, and that's something that I think the superintendent is going to have a responsibility for overseeing as we look to develop our budget for the upcoming fiscal year, because average numbers are the devil is in the details, so to speak. You really have to look deeply to say, okay, these are the average numbers, but what do the true numbers really tell on a class-to-class basis? And that's an analysis that we undergo annually, and we recently underwent a pretty significant study on enrollment projections very, very recently that was presented to the school committee for their consideration in mid-October. And I think it's fair to say that we are going to be needing to take a close look at how do we keep reasonable student-teacher ratios in place while at the same time balancing the community's ability to fund what the school district needs, and that's a tricky place. It's not easy, but it's important.
The average per pupil expenditure for the school system, where is that about now?
I would put our average per pupil expenditure across the district at somewhere between, a very fair estimate would be somewhere around $12,500 to $13,000. Okay. Yeah,
And we have about 25 or so hundred students in the district?
We have 2,560 students in the district in the current school year.
Okay.
Yes, and that number is not, I use the word spiking, I guess for lack of a better word. It's not really spiking anywhere soon, except that we're seeing a shift. There's almost, if you can almost envision a bubble coming through, and it's kind of at the latter part of the middle school years and into the high school. We have a freshman class at the high school right now with 225 students, which is very high. Our class sizes typically are in recent years have been in the area of 175 to 185. So a freshman class with 225, and right on the heels of that is going to be another, the current 8th grade class is going to hit the high school next year. And there are some concerns about staffing and the ability to offer classes and class sizes that we enjoy at the high school, and that's where it's going to become incumbent on the superintendent to take a look at what are the staffing needs and how do we strike the balance between what the community is willing to pay, can afford to pay, and still provide the quality education.
And to touch back, you mentioned standardized testing a few minutes ago. Can you talk a little bit about MCAS versus some of the other potential testing that may
Sure.
be down the road?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think most people are familiar with MCAS. It's been around for a while, and North Reading has a pretty strong and proud tradition of performing very well on MCAS. But there is a new test on the horizon, so to speak. That's the PARCC test, PARCC, and it's an acronym for the Partnership for the Assessment of Readiness for College and Careers. And that is a test that is very much matched with the Common Core, which is a national curriculum standard. And school districts in the current school year, as well as last school year, had an opportunity to do some piloting of the PARCC test. It is a very different test from the MCAS. But I think my assessment of it is that in Massachusetts, the MCAS test as we know it, and this is not rooted in any research or any information that I have, it's really, in some ways, is speculation on my part, but I think it's informed speculation, is that the MCAS test that we know is changing. And it's going to either be a different MCAS of the same name, calling it MCAS, or it's going to be the PARCC test, or maybe it's going to be even something else. I don't know. But I think there is a shift coming, and I think we as a school district have chosen to adopt PARCC as a pilot testing program for our students, with the idea that, and with the belief that something new is coming. So if we have some pilot work done, we participate in pilot testing, we now have some data that we can use to inform our instruction so that when a new test does come, our students are better prepared. That's the belief anyway. There are some very strong opinions. There are very strong opinions about standardized testing in general, and I would say that some of those are well-founded. There are, concerns about school districts and how much testing we're asking students to participate in, and how much do our teachers drive their instruction around the tests that they might be asked to work with students on. And I think that is a very real concern too. It's about balance, but in the end, I have always been a believer that some exit test for students, no matter what the grade level or from high school to wherever students may go after high school, is important. That there is a canon of knowledge that we would hope students would know, and there are certain things that I think we have an obligation to instill in them. And these tests are a part of helping to achieve that, but they're not all of it.
Not the whole thing.
They're not.
And what percentage of our graduating seniors do go on to college?
In recent years, I think it's fair to say that a pretty steady number is in the mid 90%. Most of our graduating students do go on to either some sort of public or private 2 or 4 year college education. We have annually a few students that may go into the military. We might have a small handful of students that are undecided about their future plans, and some students directly into the workforce. But by and large, the vast majority of our students go on to 2 or 4 year education after high school.
Great, that's
It is
fantastic
good.
number.
It is good.
Fantastic
Yeah.
number.
And I think an important thing that we have undertaken at the high school the last couple of years is we've surveyed alumni, which had not been done previously. We formally have surveyed 2 graduating classes, and with questions about their experience in college, and essentially trying to get at how well is the school doing at matching students with colleges and universities that they may go to. How well prepared are they satisfied? And also, looking down the road, I foresee that data will be useful to us in part with additional data as to, our students graduating from college or university on time too. What is their success rate, and what role has high school education played in helping them to attain that?
It's great. It's very impressive.
It's interesting data. It is interesting data. The demands on our students are very great. They're asked to do a lot, but in order for them to be competitive in the world that is very rapidly changing. I think it's changing. I don't know if I would say it's changing daily, but it's changing pretty rapidly. And things are. We're asking. I think that we're being asked in some cases to prepare students for jobs that I don't think even exist right now.
Oh,
and that's
sure.
An interesting.
And we don't
that's
know
an interesting
what they're
dilemma.
going to be.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
And I think that's in some ways it's an exciting place to be because it's truly the world is your oyster adage, but at the same time it's a little bit concerning because you're trying to say, okay, are we really, are these tech jobs or engineering, which is a pretty popular field for a number of our students, in the sciences, we really need to take a good hard look at are we affording them the skills that they will need in order to be competitive. And I'd like to think that we are, but it requires a constant revisiting of the educational program, pre-kindergarten through grade 12. It's just a constant looking at what are we doing, how are we doing things, and are we best preparing our students for success in life? And right now, I would say we're in a very good place, and the hope is that continues.
Well, the statistics certainly seem to prove it. And from an unscientific, evaluation, being in real estate, when we deal with buyers that are coming from different parts, coming up from Boston or coming from different communities, the number one thing we hear for people why they want to come to North Reading is the school system. So that's the new physical building, that's the teachers, that's the whole everything. So that certainly says a lot about the community, a lot about our tax dollars being put to good use and so forth.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting for me. In the years that I've worked in North Reading, there has not been an occasion where someone finds out what I do for work, whether it was the high school principal or more recently now as the superintendent, where whenever I say I work in the North Reading Public Schools, invariably the comment is something like, that has a wonderful that town has a wonderful school system. What a nice place to work. I hear so many good things about it. Something of that ilk is said to me, and it's universal. I mean, the town and the school department have a very good reputation. There's no denying that. And I think from where you both sit, I would think that certainly is a significant factor on the real estate market. I know that there were people. When we were asking the community to support the school building project financially, there were people, I knew of two instances where people were waiting to see how the community voted on that project before they made a decision on buying a home. I mean, that's a real nuts and bolts example of just how much value people are putting on the school district of the town.
Well, we're certainly thrilled to be able to market that as,
I
it
imagine
definitely helps us selling homes.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, John, we really want to thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you.
It's very, very much appreciated. And if you
enjoyed it.
just stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Thank you.
Welcome back. Thank you again to Jon Bernard. He really presents the school system well, and I think that the viewers will really appreciate his insights. Kim, we're going to move on to the Beantown and beyond. And are you ready with that?
Yes, I am. We're going to highlight 94 Como Road in Boston's Hyde Park. It's actually right around the corner from the mayor's house. So with the other recent happenings, our condolences to his family. This was a very nice newer home, about 2,100 square feet. It was listed for $499. We had multiple offers at the first open house, and it ended up, it's going to be closing in a couple of weeks for significantly over the listing price. So Boston continues to be a hot market, especially in these parts of Boston. A lot of the city employees need to have a residency requirement, so people that don't want to live right in downtown Boston move to the Reedville area or other comparable areas. So it's very desirable when you have a home like this pops up. You get a lot of interest in it. As I said, it was listed for $499 and the sale price is $513.5. It's 8-room, 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath with a master bath and a fireplace, and it was really a good deal. It was a young home. It was built in 2006, beautifully maintained, and it had all of the bells and whistles. Beautiful eat-in kitchen with cherry cabinets, granite countertops, and stainless steel appliances. A master bedroom which was en suite with a walk-in closet, central air, central vac, security system, fenced-in backyard. It's no surprise that it sold so quickly with multiple offers and above that asking price. We're going to leave you with something to think about. And we're going to highlight a property at 1 Bingham Road in North Reading. It is right on the corner of Route 62, which is Elm Street and Bingham Road. It is listed for $384,000. It's very deceiving. It's a very large home. It's 1,464 square feet. It's deceiving from the front. It is a ranch, and it has 9 rooms and 3 bedrooms, 1 full bath, and 1 fireplace. It has also 2 rooms finished in the basement and an oversized 2-car garage. It's a beautiful corner lot. There's an additional office and an additional sunroom on the main level that are not included in the square footage as well. So it's a very versatile plan, been very lovingly maintained, and you can get into the new North Reading schools that we've been talking about for under $400,000, which is really kind of hard to come by these days. So if you have any questions about this or any of the properties we discussed today, you can certainly reach us at price.thishouse@century21.com.
And that concludes our show for today. Well, again, want to thank you for spending some time with us. Hope you find the information that we've presented to be valuable. If you have any questions regarding this or anything to do with real estate, please feel free to give us a call. Again, I'm Dave O'Neil. Thanks for watching.
Thank you. I'm Kimberly O'Neil, Mara. Have a great day.